Hey, fellow squad mates. I am so excited to share with you all that the Multiplayer Gaming Podcast now has a live Patreon page. We run this podcast independently, and this is a great way for you guys to come support the show. That way we can keep delivering to you all 2 podcasts per week. In addition to supporting the show, you'll also get access to our exclusive Discord server where you can come interact and play games with Todd, Josh, and I, and also offer recommendations and to submit questions for future shows. You can find a link to our Patreon in the episode description, or you can visit www.multiplayersquad.com. Thanks so much to all of you for listening and subscribing. Now on to the show.
Battlelog 124. We're on an alien planet again, and this time we're surrounded by loot and monsters. Every minute, I feel myself getting stronger, but the monsters are gaining strength too. I need backup. You guys like that? I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, that was good.
I was intrigued, man.
All right, you're listening to the Multiplayer Podcast, rated the number 1 place in coming in second place in Fall Guys. This week, we're talking about Risk of Rain 2. A roguelike third-person fighting game. But before we jump into the game, let me introduce the engineer of the group, the man who needs it all, because it helps his turrets, Paul.
Okay, Todd, first of all, it's not my fault that the turrets do 80% of our group's damage. Okay, I do need those items. Secondly, that was Josh who coined that phrase. I just took it over.
You were hoarding so much.
Hey, my turrets are awesome.
And the samurai, who's very clingy because he can't hit anything in the air. Josh.
Whiff. Dang it! Somebody shoot those flying skulls!
Man, I heard that the entire time you were playing the samurai character.
Yeah.
You know, new week, new game. But before we jump into the game, let's jump into some reviews. Josh, do you have some reviews?
I have a review, because it's such a good one. So this one comes in from YTrueG, who said, "This is a gaming podcast. I was never one to listen to podcasts. None of them stood out, and none of them I really enjoyed. When I ran across you guys' channel, I said, multiplayer podcast? Do they game on the channel or something? Then I started listening. Let me say, very few channels make me feel at home. 3 to be exact, and they're all on YouTube. And now I've found you guys. Now I have a podcast home to come to when I'm at work, cleaning, studying, even gaming. Thank you guys for so much for brightening up my darkest days, keeping me entertained when I'm bored out of my mind when I'm working, and making me smile when I'm down. You guys have made me enjoy gaming more and I want to create content like you. Again, thank you." No, YTrueG. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, YTrueG. Yeah, you're more than welcome in our home. I'll leave the key under the mat. You can come over for dinner.
Go to his house for food.
Yeah.
Oh, I was about to say, that review started off weird. Like, man, I do not like podcasts. But then it ended strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd pick the one guy that's like, I hate podcasts. I hate the show.
5 out of 5. I hate all podcasts. But yeah, thank you. And we're doing another raffle with our Apple reviews. So make sure to go on to your Apple podcasting app or iTunes, I guess, right? And leave a review. And then next week we will choose a winner.
Yeah, go make a second Apple ID if you've already left a review. Leave another. Get it right on the show. You can make unlimited Apple IDs.
We accept multiple entries.
Mm-hmm. We encourage fake accounts. If you're a Russian bot, go for it. And then next, we have a new Patreon member. Commandalorian just signed up for our Patreon. It's a pretty awesome name.
Yeah,
that is a good name. I was afraid it was going to be my dad for a minute. But I'm glad it's not another family member. So welcome, Commandalorian.
Man, Paul's family is just going to start having like family dinner on the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, man, I'm in love with our Discord server. I think I mentioned it a while back, but like Commandalorian joined, he hopped right into the Discord. Conversation was great. So awesome to have him there. And it's like, I don't want to sound cheesy, but I feel like we are one big happy family, man. Like, it is great to see all of the conversations going on. There's photos of food getting thrown around. We've got highlight reels going. People, one of our members is making a multiplayer montage from all of our different gaming sessions that we've done. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. For some reason today we got off on a huge tangent on movies. Everyone got to talk about what movies they love, making suggestions to one another. So yeah, if you want access, come join our Patreon. Come join us on Discord. We'd love to have you.
And Paul was just flexing his cooking abilities with like, guys, what do I do with this? It's just 12-hour slowly cooked smoked ribs.
And then a picture of just bones afterwards. Yeah. Like,
that's not a joke
Paul.
either. I really did. There's a picture of the bones like 8 minutes later. Oh, that's funny.
I was definitely jealous.
I was too.
But yeah, you can join our Discord with us if you sign up on our Patreon. And the best way to get to our Patreon is by going to multiplayersquad.com. Risk of Rain 2. Escape a chaotic alien planet by fighting through hordes of frenzied monsters with your friends or on your own. Combine loot in surprising ways and master each character until you become the havoc you feared upon first crash landing. All right, guys, Risk of Rain 2, it just got released out of beta for its first full release. What were your first impressions?
I would like to start off by saying I had no idea that we were trying to escape the planet. I've never watched the opening cutscene, and I always just thought we were there to just slaughter like all the inhabitants like everywhere.
We're the bad guys again.
I did. Yeah, I really had no idea that this was like an honorable mission to try to leave and go home.
Yeah.
So today I learned.
it's a loose storyline. Let's be real. There's not really a storyline in this game.
I couldn't tell you what the story is in this. I mean, it's
destroy everything.
Running around finding portals. Why is there loot all over the place? That's what I want to know. And why does it cost money? All right, never mind. All right, first impressions. I have so many tangents I could go on.
Josh, I feel like you picked up this game first. I remember you talking about this a while ago.
Yeah, I picked this up in early access. I don't remember how I heard of it, but I picked it up, 6 or 7 or 8 months ago and hopped in. I'd never played the first Risk of Rain, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh, this is a shooter game. Okay, cool. Like third-person shooter, but no, it's not a shooter, really. Oh, wait, yeah, it is. What are these things that are dropping on the ground? What do they do? Why did I just pick up a slug? Why is that slug attached to my head now? The slug is spitting at things. Oh, why is he doing that? Oh, hey, look, I just picked up this mushroom. That's cool. Why is the mushroom sprouting out of my butt? Like, what's going on here? But this is the loot in this game, and everything that you pick up adds like an ability or a trait to your character. So it was a weird first impression. Like, honestly, it's weird.
Yeah, I remember loading it for the first time and like figuring out the buttons, and then I was like, what the heck is going on? There's no tutorial, so it's just like some of those other games where you're running around just shooting at stuff, and then you're kind of figuring it out as you go. And then it really took until I played with Paul for the first time, where he like broke down a couple of the like elements where it's like, oh, these items add to your character, then your character gets stronger. Like, these are the gates. This is kind of like the loop and the cycle that this game goes through, where like your character gets stronger, you go faster, like you hit harder, but then the enemies are harder. And like, then it started clicking and becoming a lot more fun. When I first played this game, not knowing like how to open chests or like when to do like engage the portal, I was very confused and then like just died. And then it was like, all right, well, I'll just respawn. Oh, wait, there's no respawning in this game. So then it was like, all right, I'm out. Okay, let's start over. Okay, I died again. Okay, what am I doing wrong? And it's like, oh, like you kill ads, you unlock chests, you get abilities, and then you do that until you're strong enough to fight the boss.
Yeah, absolutely. When I first jumped in, I thought that it was just mindless fun. Like, I did like it right off the bat, but I did not realize how complex and how much there is to do in this game until later on. Like, right off the bat, you have only one character that you can choose, and you can see that there's more you're going to have to unlock. But in the beginning, I thought it was just kill guys to get money, just hit any chest. I didn't realize that there were different types of chests or that you could tell what may or may not be in it. So to me, it felt very random. It was just kill stuff, run around and open a chest. And then later I started realizing, oh, there's actually strategy in what things to buy and how to use the 3D printer, which we'll probably get into later. And so it felt a little more random to me in the beginning, but it was still a blast. And it did stick out to me that it was a lot harder than I thought it would be. Like when you see the animation style, and in the beginning, the game is incredibly easy, but very quickly as the difficulty goes up over time, you get overwhelmed, you die, kind of makes you wonder how tough the game actually is. And so that stuck out to me as well.
So the starting planet and the first mission, like what does that look like? Because I feel like that's a very good picture of what the beginning of the game is, or like what early levels in the game are.
Yeah, you have an escape pod, I guess, that crash lands on the planet. Wait, I just realized you're trying to escape the planet. That's why. So you exit your escape pod, and then it's just you're just there, and you can run around. And I think there might be like one monster you can see. It's very slow, like you said. It's very like, hey, what's about to happen? And boy, you have no idea what's in store for you like 20 minutes later. But the first planet's very calm. You see like chests on the ground. If you run up to them, there's like a money amount that hovers over the chest, and you're like, where do I get money from? And then some monster will come hopping around or crawling out of the ground or something like that. And then you're like, okay, well, let me shoot that guy. Let me see what these abilities that I have do. And then you kill him and you get a little bit of money. And then you're like, oh, okay, cool. So when I kill monsters, I get money, and then I can open this chest. So you kill a few guys. All of a sudden you got enough money. You run over to that chest that you saw that's sitting on the ground. You open it up. Some little shiny thing pops out, lands on the ground, and you pick it up. And you have no idea what it is.
And then like the cool thing that I think is kind of funny is it attaches to your character. So if you pick up, like Josh was saying at the beginning, a slug, there's a slug on your head that you're looking at. If you pick up like mushrooms or like bat wings, or I don't think they're bat wings, they're like moth or something like that. Like that's on your character now, and the rest of the game, or until you get rid of it, you just have that on your character, which is kind of hilarious.
Yes, it's hilarious to look at, and it is fun to learn the different abilities. So I remember the first time I ran with Josh, he was already a little more experienced, and Josh was like, well, if you buy any healing abilities, let me pick it up, because my character's better at heals. And I was like, well, I don't know what anything is. I mean, this is just like a pair of sunglasses, and this other thing just looks like a giant pole vault, and I don't know what any of it is. And so as you play it a little bit more, you start to realize how many different abilities there are and what they all get to do. And one of my favorite parts with us all playing together was allowing us to grab loot that worked best for our character. Hence all of the, oh, you found that? Well, that would be great for my turrets. Let me come pick up that loot that you paid for.
But that was on everything. What? It's like, oh, that's an increase in damage. What? That'd be great for my turrets. Oh, that increases healing. No. That'd be great for my turrets. Oh, that's explosive on kill. Oh, that'd be great for my turrets. Yeah, it's all great for everyone.
Now,
that's why it's an ability.
Two things. Number one, the engineer, which is one of the classes that you unlock, he gets 2 turrets. And one of the things about that class is that whatever items the engineer picks up, his turrets get to have as well. So when you plop down a turret, all that stuff that you've picked up and is stuck to your body is now stuck to your turrets. So it's very, very beneficial to have those abilities, not only for the engineer, but for both of his turrets. Number two, I was playing the engineer that run, and I wanted everything.
it finally comes out, yeah.
And point 3, if Todd could aim and shoot, we wouldn't have to attach all this loot to turrets because
that's very true.
They automatically hit all of their enemies.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Let's go into this.
Uh-oh.
How many games did we play when we finished? We would look at damage,
yeah,
and I would have what each of you had combined?
One run was like that. And Todd did do more damage than me and Josh combined. That is a fact.
I had 2 or 3 runs where I had more damage than each of you easily by like 1,000 or so.
Now, in our defense, you got an epic item that halved your health and doubled your damage. So, I mean, it was great.
Was a pretty sick item.
But that gives you kind of an unfair advantage when we're talking about who deals the most damage that run.
Yeah. Well, I did.
Yeah.
And I hit all my shots, Paul. Do you know how many items there are in this game?
There are so many. There's still so many I haven't even unlocked because you can go into your logbook and see. I mean, do you know the number, Todd? Do you want us to guess? Yeah. I'm going to guess 70.
Oh, I was going to say 60.
110.
No.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Because there's a lot with the lunar stuff. There's stuff that bosses drop. There's like a couple different category outside of the like common, rare, epic. I think there's 6 different categories. So common, rare, epic. There's like lunar, boss, and then one other one. Oh, whatever the Q ability.
Yeah,
is.
utility. Yeah, and all that. Yeah, I'm not surprised. And that's part of the fun, is that when you meet certain challenges, or if you fight and kill certain new bosses or new mobs, it then adds new items that you can then buy and see drop later. And so even though you're always dying at the end of these runs and playing it again, as you unlock new abilities, you start to see those drop, and then the gameplay actually changes. So depending on what class you play and what items you pick up, these runs can feel incredibly different. It feels like a different game. It's kind of like if you played World of Warcraft, like if you play a mage as opposed to playing a warrior, like you may as well be playing different games because the strategy and the gameplay is so different. And Risk of Rain is very much like that. You don't really get sick of it. If you're sick of playing as the engineer, well then go hop on the commando or the huntress or the multi or one of these other classes that are completely different.
Well, and it's interesting, like, it is kind of the same game. Like, at its base, it's the same game. But it feels so different. All the items are so different. I forgot where I was going with this. I lost my idea, guys.
Well, let me jump in. This game, I don't know if we've said, but this is a roguelike game. So, I mean, to me, this like fits the definition of a roguelike perfectly. And for people that don't know, a roguelike is a game where you play, you die, it resets, and then you start from the beginning. So there is no saved progress. There is none of that stuff. Now, you do get permanent progression in a sense. Like, so in Risk of Rain 2, you might unlock a character, or you might unlock items that you can then discover in future runs. But as we've all seen, you can play 50 minutes, have, 30 items stuck to your character and have all these crazy abilities, and then you die. When you load that next game, you got nothing. Like, you start from scratch. And so it definitely fits that genre.
Which I feel like when I hear that, I think of Rust. And it's like, even though you lose a lot of stuff, you gain so much in just knowledge by playing the game over and over that you learn more and more about the game, and then it becomes easier just because you understand how everything works more. So then you get, like, you go further, and then you get to the part that you're unfamiliar with, and then it starts to become difficult again.
Yeah, can I share some really stupid moments that I had early on in this game?
Oh, please.
All right.
Go for it.
So first of all, I had so much trouble finding the teleporter every single level. It took me probably an hour and a half of playing solo, because I started off playing solo without you guys. I did not realize that you could see all the little sparkles in the air around the teleporter to help you find it. And I would just run circles after clearing all the mobs. And on some levels, I would literally run around for 7 minutes trying to find the teleporter. And I was getting kind of frustrated in the beginning. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh, you can see these sparkles from really far away. And that really helps you find the teleporter. So then I felt like a complete idiot. Also, as you earn all of this money, I just thought the goal was to find the teleporter as quick as you could. Because we haven't really explained how this works. So in each level, you have to find the teleporter, you activate it, which then spawns a giant boss. You have to kill the boss and stand inside the area while the teleporter charges, and then you can activate the teleporter and leave. Well, while you're fighting the boss, you earn all of this money, and then as soon as the teleporter was ready, I would just click the teleporter and get out. And then Josh was the one who was like, no, don't hit the teleporter. Let's go spend all this money because there's chests everywhere to buy more abilities. And I don't know why it never crossed my mind, because all that money, it's not entirely lost. Like, it does go toward leveling your character to get more HP and stuff, but that never crossed my mind. So I felt very dumb after Josh brought that up.
Glad I could educate. It's my job.
Yeah, it does help if you play this game with someone who's a little more experienced, because it's a lot deeper than it looks at first appearance.
That's the deceptive thing. Like, even tonight, like, Paul and I had a pretty epic run. I mean, 10 minutes before we started recording the show, and I had seen things I've never seen before, and I've played a good bit. We got loot that I've never seen before. We encountered a level that I've never seen before. I mean, it was really neat to think we had a pretty good grasp on this game, and then have a run where there was so much new stuff going on, and just be like, dude, this is cool, man. Like, I didn't know this was in the game.
Yeah. Like, one thing that I saw yesterday when the three of us were playing that I didn't realize is that you can run around, and basically the game is very simplistic controls. You have a main fire, an alternative fire, and then you end up having 2 other abilities. Well, you can find these things in the game, which are Lunar Coins, and it's the only currency that saves with your guy after you die. So if you want, you could play 50 hours, keep saving up all these Lunar Coins, and then spend them all on one run to have like a super run if you wanted. Well, I had spent a bunch of my Lunar Coins on getting a really good 4th ability, and then I happened to run across where I could buy what was called an equipment drone, and I did not realize that it would give me a drone that would consume that ability permanently, but then give me a super drone. So when I activated it, I lost one of my greatest abilities, but then it gave me this giant flying drone that was enormous and dealing out all kinds of damage. And that was just really neat to discover that organically. Like, at first I just didn't know why I lost my ability, and then realized, oh, that's what equipment drone means. It took some of my equipment, but now it's using it, and I'm just going to have to go find a new 4th ability that I can use. And that I thought was really neat.
Yeah, and I feel like there is a lot of different, kind of like side quests on this. Like, there's the main storyline where you're like opening teleporters and doing all that. And then we hit one run where we got pulled into this really small world that was floating, and like we couldn't really figure it out. And then we figured it out right at the end, and then we all died.
Yeah.
But then the second time through, we were like, oh, this is like a side portal where we get a bonus if we defeat this like mini boss. And like, that was really cool. And then there's another time where we discovered a blue portal that was like in between worlds, and it was like a place you could spend those Lunar Coins to get more perks, and that's where I got the half your health, double your damage, which is an insane perk. I was terrified that entire game, but wrecking people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's cool because like you have this main progression where like you run that over and over and over, and then all of a sudden these little side trails, like you notice more and more, and then you're like, oh, I can go do this. Oh, here's a portal I've never seen before. Oh, here's a totem that you can activate, and then it's like a mini boss for that level. So like it does throw a lot of randomness like at this like very repetitive timeline, which makes it not repetitive anymore.
That's a great point. I totally agree.
Yeah, the side quests, the unlocking the characters, there's all sorts of, I didn't even count how many characters. I want to say there's probably 10, 12 characters unlockable in this game. And to unlock them, you have to, number one, get lucky sometimes and maybe come across the right stage during your run and then fight like a mini boss on that stage. Sometimes it's just, hey, play the first stage 30 times, or there's all these different criteria to unlock these characters. But then each character has different skills that all feel very different, which is really neat. Like Paul was saying earlier, is if you get bored with one guy, play a different character, the game seems fresh again. But then each character has unlockable skills that are pretty fun challenges. Like I know Todd was, joking about me being the samurai guy, but one of his unlocks is you have to not touch the ground for 30 seconds. Like this guy can dash through the air and he has like a stand in the air and chop things and, he can do double front flips and stuff like that. But that's hard to do because you have to chain all of your abilities and have monsters close enough to do all this stuff. But it felt so great when it was like, I think I'm getting close. And then it was like, I made that last dash and it was just last second. And then it's like, oh, cool, I unlocked this ability. And then you can swap that out for one of the ones that you've been used to, which to me is great progression right there. It's all of those side things, the unlockables, the stuff that you discover on your playthroughs. You don't always play the same stages each time. So, one run might have an entirely new stage there. I like what they've done with the progression system in this game to keep it fresh and keep it from getting boring quickly.
Yes. And one of the cool things is reading those challenges, like Josh with the staying in the air for 30 seconds, because every class has completely different challenges to unlock those new loadout abilities. So as much as I loved playing the engineer, he could plop down turrets, but those turrets are stationary, and you can have 2 up at one time, and you can only bring out 1 every 15 seconds. So if I run and leave my turrets behind, they might shoot mobs back there, but then I'm going to have to plop new ones down. Well, I unlocked where now on my loadout, I could switch it. So now I've got 2 portable turrets who then walk around very slow, and they're kind of stupid and get stuck on stuff. But, they would then follow me around. And so there's always literally a million things to do. It's not even necessarily just try to get to the final boss and beat it. It's read through the challenges and try to unlock new material. And they're not easy. A lot of those challenges are very difficult, but I feel like there is just a ton of stuff that you can focus on each run. It looks at first glance like it's just mindless action, but there's actually a lot of strategy, a lot of fun, a lot of challenges. And also when you play with other people, you can pick different classes and build on each other's strengths. Like one thing that I'm not crazy about is playing this game solo. I do find it to be
I agree with that.
Much less fun. It is so much more fun playing with friends. And you know what? One of us can be the huntress, and now you're focusing on the stuff in the air. Someone else can be the samurai and fight stuff with melee, and then another person can focus on more healing type abilities, and then you can fight together as a group. And I found that to be incredibly fun.
What were your favorite characters?
Oh, that's tough, man. They're all so different. I just unlocked last night, actually, I just unlocked a new character that is a super DPS, like wizard almost, but has no defensive abilities and no mobility abilities. Like most of these classes have a blink or a teleport or some way to move really quickly, and this character does not. So that character is a lot of fun for me. The samurai / ninja guy, I think, is probably my favorite. I like that playstyle of just being like in the face of everything and kind of right at the heart of it. I did not like the robot character that you played the other day, but you played him great. Like, to me, that's my least favorite character, but you seem like you had a lot of fun with him.
So I'm torn. I really, really like that character. And so the way this character works is he has 2 primary fires. So you can have it be the same ability, you can have it be a different ability, but like it's basically 2 primary fires. And then when you click R, it switches to the other primary fire. So like you have one primary fire, you can use that, you can switch it. So you can have rockets and then like a railgun type thing. So you have like a mix. And then what I discovered more recently is the cooldown on those firing is separate from each other because they're 2 different ones. So I was running around pretty much holding left click and then tapping R to switch between my different firing modes. So like I'd fire 3 rockets, switch to my railgun, fire a railgun bolt, switch back, fire 3 rockets. So I never had like a cooldown period when I discovered that. But then when it got chaotic, it would be like, oh man, like what firing type am I on? It like what button am I hitting? Because like you're trying to manage like 2 or 3 different things at the same time. But it was super cool. And when I got the double the damage, half the health, I think that's why I was wrecking people, is because I didn't have a cooldown on any of my firing stuff. I was just dealing constant DPS over and over.
Yeah. And one thing that we haven't really touched on quite yet is the longer you play and the longer you stay alive, the more and more items you find that give you more and more utility. And it also makes you much more stronger over time. So like when Todd's talking about the chaos seeping in, that's because after you have been like 50 minutes into a run, there are so many enemies on the screen at once. It's kind of hard to keep track. Because in the beginning, it's like you're just firing, like as the huntress, she's got a bow and arrow, and you're just shooting 1 arrow at a time at one enemy. But then 50 minutes into the game, now you've got a triple jump, and all of your bolts now give explosives on enemies, and they take bleed damage. And, you know, your character gets so strong by the end of these runs. The game really makes you feel very powerful by the end. And so one thing that I thought would be kind of fun, I don't know if you guys have any exact answers for this stuff, but I was wondering if you had any runs where you ended up with a very fun loadout, because some of that is based on just chance, like what items you happen to find in your run. And Todd, I think your favorite was the double the damage, half the health. You were basically just a glass cannon at that point.
Well, and then I kept on getting perks on top of that, which was like increased chance for hitting a crit and doubling damage. So now, like, I have chance at quadruple my normal damage and like critting someone, which, like, yeah, it's a glass cannon. You're running around trying to like stay out of everyone's way, but like if anyone gets close, you're putting a stinking like rockets into their face and like they're not surviving. That was by far my favorite. But then Josh and I played a run the other day, and I was the huntress, and I put on moth wings, and man, that by itself, that with a double jump, was so much fun because I was fighting,
staying in the air.
Yeah, I was fighting that boss fight, and whenever that boss got close to me, I would just take my wings and go up in the air and then fly away. And I was able to escape and breathe for a second before going back into the fight. And that gave just a very good sense of mobility and I don't know. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do with it.
Yeah. Something about the loot that you get in this game is most games will recognize that some combination of something would be overpowered if we allowed this to happen. And so they'll make it where you can't ever get that combination. In this game, you just have to get lucky. There are some insane combinations, and if you get them, the game just kind of goes, have at it.
They encourage it.
Right, yeah.
With the 3D
me,
printer,
that's
especially.
Super cool that they allow that. Now, there is some chance involved, and of course, you have to not die, and you have to get the right combination of stuff as well. But I remember a run that I had back when I was playing in early access where you guys hear me. There's a pickup that you can get that's called Will-O-Wisps, and it's just a lightning bug in a jar is the icon for it. And basically what that does is when you kill an enemy, that enemy will explode. And so it'll damage enemies around it. Something we haven't talked about is that if you get multiple of an item, that effect stacks at that point. So I had gotten 5 or 6 of these Will-O-Wisp things. And then I had also gotten one that when you do damage, that enemies bleed. And bleeding can stack as well and do a lot of damage. So I had this build where if I killed a trash mob, he would explode and do a ton of damage around on the mobs around him, which would usually insta-kill another trash mob, which would cause that guy to explode. And it would just chain through everything that you could see and just obliterate stuff. I mean, boss fights were going down in seconds. It was just, I wouldn't even focus the bosses. I would just kill the trash mobs around the bosses, let them all explode, do 50 stacks of bleed damage, and then the boss would just die in 5 seconds. It was great. That was one of those runs, and I told you guys, oh, you'll get these amazing combos where you're just godlike and you can't ever die, and you're wiping everything. It's great. Paul, the run you and I just had was one of the better ones with just a combination of gear.
Yeah, I feel like those were really well-rounded characters. One thing that made us really powerful is we each stacked multiple abilities where every mob we killed had a chance to drop additional treasure. And so they would drop little icons that would be extra money. And so we were getting that every 3 or 4 mobs we would kill. So we were just flush with cash the whole game. My favorite build came in a solo run that I did yesterday. And one of the very first items I found made it so that every crit that I had would cause a bleed effect. Well, one of the things that they have in this game is a 3D printer. And the way it works is you see a little icon of an ability, and if you activate the 3D printer, it will pull the last item that you looted, and it'll consume that, and then it'll spit out that item. Well, the neat thing with the 3D printer is you can do that as many times as you want. If you want it to consume your last 8 abilities, and then it'll shoot out 8 of the new ability that you do want. And so I already had this early ability, and I ran across a 3D printer that doubled my chance to crit. And so I think I spent 15 or 16 prior abilities to get that. So literally every shot that I did would cause critical damage and bleed effect. Now, that was
insane.
Yeah, and that was as the Huntress, who has the AoE strongest abilities. She can throw out a glaive that will bounce like chain lightning, and also she has Rain of Arrows, where you mark a circle on the ground and everybody gets hit. So between those 2 abilities, I was downing every boss within 7 to 8 seconds because I would just call down a Rain of Arrows, and now they've got 60 bleed effects within 2 seconds, and then they would just die. And so there are even challenges where you unlock new stuff by killing a boss within 1 second. Those are the kinds of runs you can have where your guy just gets really overpowered. And that's why sometimes your runs can be less fun if you have some bad luck. And other runs, you will just feel like an unstoppable force. One thing we haven't mentioned are the Shrine of Chances. Josh, do you want to talk about this?
There's a reason we didn't mention the Shrine of Chances.
Yeah.
I've never seen anyone have such bad luck with these as Josh.
My goodness, man. So there's these different shrines in the game. One of these, just another really cool little aspect is you can have these little shrines in every level. There might be a shrine that you activate it, and when you activate the teleporter at the end of the level, it normally summons a boss. It'll summon 2 bosses instead. Or Paul and I just discovered that there's these gold shrines that'll unlock portals to new worlds and side missions and stuff like that. Well, there's these stupid shrines of chance where they start off like low on money. So you run up to it and you activate it, and if you're lucky, it spits out an item. Well, if you're unlucky, it just takes your money and nothing happens. And then like 3 seconds later, the shrine will unlock, but now the money to activate it is doubled. So it's like, oh, well, okay, I got unlucky the first time. Let me just activate it again. I've got a lot of money. Blong, nothing. Dude, every shrine of chance I come across, I get nothing. And I have activated them 3 times, because I think that's the max activations is 3 on one, and got nothing. And then here comes Todd running up going, oh, is that a shrine of chance? Oh, let me see what happens. Boom, out spits an item. Oh, cool. Let me try it again. Boom, out spits an item. Oh, wait, is there a third one? Boom, out spits an item. Ah!
Josh, I need to tell you something. I hit 6 in a row without it taking my money.
Don't even, man.
Just 6 shrines, multiple levels. Yep. I took all your luck.
You know what else Todd's great at taking? Your loot when you buy it from a treasure chest.
That is one thing we should talk about. Because when you buy a chest that has loot, it doesn't automatically go on your guy. It shoots out of the chest onto the ground. So if you just happen to be running by your buddy, which
buddy's name is Todd.
Well, no.
I have done it too.
All of us are guilty. Josh
We're all guilty.
Yeah, the jolly old troll is definitely guilty of this. Paul's guilty of this. Am I guilty of this? Who knows?
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, even just yesterday, we went through one of the side portals to get to the dream world where time stops, and Josh saw, I can throw in 5 of my abilities and it'll shoot out a new one. Well, I don't know what that does, but let me test it. And I just happened to be sprinting by Josh, and I picked up the item. So, of course, I was like, all right, well, I'll just go give up 5 of my random items, and I'll have to go buy one for Josh.
I forced you under duress to be like, because I was like, Paul! And you were like, I didn't mean to grab that, man. And I was like, you saw I was buying it. And you're like, I was looking at the thing next to it, man. Like, I really didn't mean to steal that from you. And then I'm like, you are going to trade in 5 of your items, and you were going to buy this item from me, Paul.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, going back just very briefly to the Shrine of Chance, one of the challenges is to not get loot 3 times in a row. That's a challenge. I've played Risk of Rain 2 for 20 hours now, and I still don't have that unlocked because I probably have a success rate of like 80% on those shrines.
Oh.
I don't know what it is with Josh. I think he's clocking about 14% on hitting those shrines.
I was going to put it at about 10%.
It's like 1 in 7 that he'll actually get an item.
It's one thing too to mention when we're talking about these items is that the majority of this game is random. Like, there's chests everywhere and you pay the money to open the chests, but whatever pops out is completely random. Like, you don't really get a say in what you get. There are buy stations that have a selection of 3 items that you can choose from. They charge you more for that perk of knowing what you're going to get. But those are not nearly as prevalent as like the random chests that you get. So it's very hard to actually build out a specific build in this game, which is a good thing in my opinion, because everybody would just build out those insanely OP builds, and then
there'd be a meta build that you do every time. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And they did a great job preventing that, because this game could easily fall into, this is the only build you should do, every other build sucks. But I don't feel that way with this game. I don't feel like I'm capable of doing the same build every single time.
Right. And then the only other thing we haven't touched on that I feel like we definitely should is that the game starts you off on easy. But what we haven't mentioned is that there is always a clock that is ticking in this game. And as the clock ticks, the game steadily gets harder and harder. So the longer you play, the more difficult the game gets. So if you are taking a lot of time to explore these levels and look around, by the time you warp to the next level, that level is going to be much more difficult. And you can actually see the difficulty level as like a slider almost as the time ticks by. And it's funny because it just goes from like, difficult, hard, impossible, insane, I see you, and then it just is finally like ha 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 ha. And where, on easy mode you're fighting just normal trash mobs, when it gets to like ha ha ha, the normal trash mobs are like the boss mobs that you fight when you activate the teleporter. So that kind of spans the level of difficulty in this game.
Right. And yeah, we kind of alluded to it a little bit where you get more powerful, and also that the bosses, the enemies, and everyone else gets more powerful. Hopefully you get enough good items where you're more powerful than they are, but that's not guaranteed.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Another neat thing is that sometimes the items you pick up will actually be companions that go with you. So sometimes it might be like a flying healing bot or a flying incinerator bot has like a flamethrower and it'll flame mobs. Sometimes you get these giant beetles that fight on your side. And then our last run with me and Josh, we activated a gold portal. We defeated that boss. And do you remember the name of the companion that guy gave us?
His name was like Auralite because it
started
was gold.
with an A.
He was gold. Yeah, it was like Auralite or something like that.
He was literally like a 25-foot huge statue with a sword, and he would just like
guy
run.
Was baller.
Oh yeah, he was literally the biggest thing on the screen, and he was destroying guys in front of us. And then all of a sudden he started using like magic abilities, and the companions in this game are really fun too. So pretty soon you're running around with a giant army. You have all these powers, and it really is very delightful. It is very, very satisfying when you start chaining all of these abilities by the end game. And you might have a run that goes 70 minutes or longer, and it definitely gets more chaotic and more crazy the longer you play.
Yeah, and it's easy to die in this game. That's the one thing is, bosses, no matter how strong you are, all of a sudden, boom, you're dead. It can happen in a split second.
When you
sometimes.
die, you die.
Yes, game over.
Like
man.
You only come back after the next round if you're playing co-op. If you're playing solo, when you die, and you start over.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks, but I get it.
It's part of the game.
Yeah, I mean it's like one of the major things of the game.
Yeah, it's kind of the point.
All right, Paul. What did the community think of this game?
Yeah, I've got a couple reviews here from Steam that I think you guys might enjoy. The first one I have here is a positive review. Played for several hours, no rain. Easily the most unreliable weather app I've ever purchased. Yeah, it should be said there is no actual rain in the game. In the beginning, you choose your difficulty, and it's like drizzle, rain, and monsoon or something. That's the only reference to rain in this game. Next review here is a positive review, and oh man, I loved this one. This game is perfect for a drinking game. If someone says one of the following, drink a shot. Have you found the teleporter? I've found the teleporter. Oh my gosh, this item messed up my build. I'm low HP. Wait, are those your drones? Okay, now how many times did we hear Josh yell, oh no, this item just ruined my build? It happens to Josh so much.
It's the stupid Shrines of Chance, too, man. I was playing the ninja who relies on his sword. All of his abilities rely on his sword to chain things. I picked up a thing that took my sword away and replaced it with like laser beams. It's like,
That was
I can't
amazing.
do this, man. Like, what the heck is this?
You instantly just said, let's restart.
Yeah, I did, because it was just over at that point. I was worthless.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, it'd be like the engineer and take away turrets.
Yeah, you're a laser samurai. I thought it sounded
with
awesome.
No sword anymore.
Oh boy. Josh, you're going to love this review. It's a positive review. I now have a deep and irrational fear of bells.
Yeah, those bells. Those bells, man.
The bells that shoot the spiky balls at you. Those things are no joke. They take forever to kill. They have so much life.
And they have high damage.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. And then I have 2 last reviews here. This one is a negative review. This is probably the worst game I've purchased on Steam Powered as of yet. It's really just the first game, but it's even worse now. I'm going to refund it and not play it again because I hate this game. Someone gave it to me for free because of the promotion, but if I could refund it, I would, because this really the suckest game I own on Steam Powered. I would avoid this and hope that Hoppo Games gets their act together and starts making better products, because as of now, I will be boycotting them. 7 people found this review helpful. 129 people found this review funny.
Make that 131.
Yeah. So I had to pull a negative review. And then the final one is a positive review. Todd, this is almost exactly your run with double the damage, half the health.
Can't wait.
Positive review. Playing Multi, the character with the minigun. Gain an item that doubles my damage but halves my health. Gain explosive shots on my minigun. Every bullet now explodes on contact. Gain 40% attack speed on my explosive double damage minigun. Gain an active item that gives me 100% crit chance for 5 seconds. Shred bosses in seconds with my 100% crit chance. Gain 8 Will of the Wisps, which now makes enemies explode when they die. 45 minutes into the run, I hit max difficulty with 666 health. Summon Teleporter Boss, but since it's max difficulty, it summons 4 bosses. Activate crits. It takes 3 seconds to kill first boss. He explodes. The explosion is so powerful, the other bosses all die. Every enemy on the map instantly dies. Off in the distance, I see one less damage number. One poor wisp gets obliterated by over 6,000 damage. Portal leads me to a shrine where it says, press E to obliterate yourself from existence. And that was how I ended my best Risk of Rain 2 run.
Yeah, that's a perfect example of what can happen.
I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I was halfway there. I never got fully there, but that I get it. I'm jealous.
Yeah. So those are the reviews I grabbed from Steam, and then we always like to play a little mini game where we guess what percentage of the Steam reviews overall have been positive. So I wrote down my answer, and I'm curious what you guys think. Do you guys remember who won last game? Who gets
last time? I nailed it, if you remember.
That's right, right
I
on the
guessed
dot.
it, right on the money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say I think there's a lot to like about this game. I'm gonna say 91%.
Oh, that's very interesting. Okay.
Oh, how interesting.
What you got, Todd?
But how interesting was 91%?
Let's just say it's so interesting that I wrote down 91%.
Oh.
So Josh and I both
goes to the
guessed
champ.
the same. So Todd, are you going 92 or 90?
I'm going 88.
88, the default
88.
guess for all games on Steam. 96%.
Ooh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that one guy got it for free and wanted to boycott.
He's 1 in 20. The other 19 all gave it a positive review. So, yeah, almost everyone loves this game. 96 out of 100.
Good on them.
Yeah.
So which
So
one
wait,
of you
tie goes to the champ, right?
is going
Don't
to
I retain my
lead-
title?
I don't.
It can go to Josh. I'm fine with that.
No, wait. As reigning champion, I pass it to Paul, so Paul has to introduce the next section.
All right.
All right,
I'll introduce it. All right, hit the music.
Here's the smooth jazz.
Ooh, baby. Welcome to Make Love Marry Murder. Yeah, we're going normal from here on out. So basically now what we do is we like to rate the game just in this silly way. You know, is this a game that you would just make love to it? or marry it or murder it. And so I'll go ahead and go first. I love this game. I liked it in the beginning, and I actually wrote down, the first note I jotted down was, I have liked this game more every minute that passes. I like this game more now, 20 hours in, than I did hour 1, 5, 10, or 15. I think it only gets more and more fun, especially if you have a couple friends willing to play. I think I don't really have any major complaints about this game. It's a little bit random, but I think that's just required by nature of the game. I can't recommend it further. It's a marry. It is a steady girlfriend that you're going to commit to and get married. They're there to support you, and they're fun. You enjoy being with them. They don't get boring. You know, this is marriage material all the way. What else could you ask for?
I'm so happy. I love it when Paul loves a game that I like too.
Put a ring on it.
I'm gonna marry it too, man. Paul.
No, she's mine. I married her first.
Darn it. That's a really good analogy. Is this game does get more fun as you get used to it, and the longer you play it, because you start to understand all of the items and the different characters, and you gravitate towards certain characters and things like that. So that's a really good thing to point out, but I'm going to marry it too. I've been having a ton of fun with this. Like, I played it by myself and a little bit of multiplayer way back in the day. I will say solo, not so much. This is a game that needs to be played with other people. It's not a fun solo game.
It doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's not required.
I wouldn't.
But right.
It's 70% more fun playing with other people.
Podcasters agree. This game is 70% more fun with others.
Scientifically proven.
All right, guys. I'm gonna have to love it. I can't marry it. I'm sorry. And I agree with all of your points that you've just said. My big thing is when I sit down and think about, are we going to play this game again? I don't know. Like, it's a giant question mark. Like, we're currently in the middle of it. We're currently playing it, and it's a blast. We're going to stop playing it, and then we're going to hit this point where we're like, all right, guys, we're kind of done with Warzone. What do you guys want to play? I don't know. Not Sea of Thieves, because Paul hates Sea of Thieves, and then I'll say Halo, and then you guys will say not Halo, and then we'll bounce around to a whole bunch of games. Yeah, shut up, Todd. And I don't see Risk of Rain being the game that we're just like, yeah, let's just jump into that. Like, there's other games but I would be happy to be wrong. All right, let's go to the leaderboard. All right, I think it's been a while since I've explained this segment, but at the leaderboard, we take the 27 other games we've reviewed, and we put this game up against the leaderboard and really rank it to see where it falls in line. Like, is it top 10? Is it bottom 10? Hopefully it's worse than Halo, because I want that one to go up a little bit. There's really no telling, and it's a group decision to see where this game goes on the leaderboard.
We're intentionally ranking apples versus watermelons versus pancakes. Which couldn't be more different.
Are you kidding me? Watermelons.
Over
out
pancakes?
Of those three,
it's pancakes.
It's
one.
pancakes.
No,
Hands
out of
down.
here.
Yeah,
pancakes are
Paul,
delicious.
Paul, you're on keto. You
Why do you think I want
legally
pancakes?
can't
Say that man wants some pancakes.
I haven't had a carb since 2006.
All right. I don't know where.
I know where.
A Way Out is 15.
Oh,
Not
it's
that
above.
low.
It's above
Above that. Okay,
Higher, Todd.
No Man's Sky is 10.
Higher, Todd.
Higher than 10?
Higher, Todd.
I think it's somewhere around 10.
I don't
Maybe read up and down close
All
to
right.
10.
8 is Destiny 2. 9, Call of Duty Warzone. 10, No Man's Sky. 11, Far Cry 5. 12 Raft.
I kind of feel like my initial gut is to put it at 10 and bump No Man's Sky down 1. That's where I would personally put it.
That's actually where I am too.
I'm really torn because No Man's Sky is a great single player game, and it's not that great multiplayer. Or at least us playing it. This game is great multiplayer. I would never play it single player. But this is the multiplayer podcast, so I'm fine putting it at number 10.
Wow. See, when I first picked up this game, even after seeing trailers, I never imagined this would make it into our top 10. I was so pleasantly surprised.
Isn't that great when that happens, though? Like,
yeah.
That's why I say, like, when you said you were going to marry it, it's like, I just get giddy because I'm like, I love it when people are surprised by games and then find games. Like, that's why I love doing this,
I was kicking and screaming as I bought this game.
Oh, I know. I could tell. And I think Paul was a little hesitant too, which is why that's what I love. And that's honestly why, I hope our listeners take some of what we pass on and say, I'm going to give that game a try and then find a game that they love. Like, to me, that's cool, man. That's why I get happy when I see people like games that they didn't think they were going to like at first or something like that. So number 10, I think it's perfect.
Number 10.
That was easy.
Well, that
was easy. We're getting good at this.
Are you done?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, that wraps up the leaderboard segment for our show today. If you want to view all of our rankings, you can find them on our site at multiplayerpodcast.com. If you're interested in finding out more information, you can join our Patreon and Discord at multiplayersquad.com, Twitch TV /multiplayerpod, Twitter multiplayerpod, Instagram. We're not going anywhere. Multiplayer podcast.
Oh, yeah.
All right. What games are we reviewing next?
We've got a double header coming up with two very hotly requested games. The people
Paul,
ask, we got to give it to them.
What are they?
One of them is Fall Guys, which we've
Guys?
talked about a little bit, and you guys twisted my arm, and I had to buy it. So now we all own Fall Guys. I had my initial impressions. We'll see if they have changed next week.
All right. And then the second game's Among Us.
Yes. Which is little known, but apparently wildly popular at the same time.
It's, if you look at the Steam usage or players on, that game has been booming over the past couple months. It's pretty crazy. It's just a steady curve up. And I'm excited to play it.
Any game where I get to lie, cheat, and steal, and then pretend like I'm the good guy is right up my alley, man. I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah, I don't want to steal too much material from next week, but we have some history in playing deception games like this, and nobody trusts Josh ever. Ever. No matter what, everyone's convinced he's a liar.
Yeah, it's even worse. Yeah.
Oh, man. How did I get this reputation?
I don't know.
You guys
look at your username.
Me? You guys can trust me.
No,
come on.
Can't.
Just trust me, guys.
Just don't do it. Don't do it. And then I get upset when other people trust you. I'm like, don't trust him.
I know. You're like, I told you don't trust Josh.
Run away. All right. See you next week.
Leave us a review.
We're not above bribery.
Yeah.
And the best way to get to our Patreon is by going to multiplayersquad.com.
Yep.
Sorry, I was leaving a space for the music. I didn't click the button.
Okay. That makes more sense. I was like, all right, this is a long pause. Oh, that's funny. I'll just put that for the outro.